everybody in to another edition of the Living Deadwax podcast. I'm your host, Ty, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tyler. Tyler, how the hell are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, brother. Always looking forward to the Wednesday night recording, and I was a little late, but, things happen.
It's
life
okay.
happens.
2 weeks in a row.
This is the most commitment I've had in a while, so, yeah, exactly.
That's wonderful. It's probably not a good thing. You shut up, though. You shut up. So that's good. Weather's getting nice.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, it's a time where you can open your back door, which is nice.
Yeah. I did some porch walking the other night, so that was nice.
See, I mean, your porch does allow you to do the walk. It's a larger porch, so it does allow you to do the walk. I know your mom posts up on Facebook. We're getting really personal now. But your mom's porch is not as large as your porch is.
No.
Maybe long.
It's long. It's probably
wise.
longer. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. So I was gonna say your mom does porch walking sometimes. I see, and I don't know how she does it because I would really get a headache. But I'm a P word, so you know.
Just back and forth. Alrighty, so guys, welcome in to the podcast. If you're new here or coming back, we certainly appreciate you coming back or checking us out. We do vinyl-related content here, music-related content, and we're going to kick it off here and show off kind of recent pickups here over the last week, I suppose. Yeah. So, Tyler, if you want to...
And I have legitimate pickups I got in this last week, so these aren't fabricated. These are all legitimate pickups I've had here.
I have pickups from literally yesterday. So
I know literally nothing about this, by the way.
Yeah.
So you guys are going to find out with me. I know nothing. He doesn't tell me shit. Yeah. So here we go.
Yep.
All right. So first pick I got was Ended Over It live at the Red Room. So Ended Over It, singer-songwriter Evan Weiss from Chicago. Emo, solo acoustic, but also now does full band stuff. Mostly full time. So during the pandemic, everyone made a Patreon, and so he did as well. A lot of bands did and stuff, right? And other people, and whatever, right? If you didn't make an OnlyFans, you made a Patreon. So
touché. He
decided for the latter. So he might have done the former too. I don't know. Maybe I haven't talked to him. So anyway, so he did a lot of vinyl. Exclusives for the Patreon. So one of those exclusives, though, and he sells the leftovers or whatever on his web store or whatever. So one of those months, one of the exclusives was the live record that he did, and I think he recorded it during the pandemic, and it's a full run of the discography. I'm a big singer-songwriter guy, and mix in with a little emo stuff, and then also, like I said, he has full band with this record. So I'm all about it. 2 LP. I think it's out of 500 possibly on Red.
Nice.
Super heavy. So it's probably 180. It feels like it could be 200. It's a heavy 180. Yeah. So he did a lot of stuff really quick too. So I think that his pressing plant that he's going through is in Chicago as well, and he does pretty quick turnarounds. Because I don't subscribe to the Patreon. Because I already described too many. But he does a monthly release, like a monthly 7-inch, and he's done multiple 12-inch and 2 LP. He did instrumentals for the last record. He released his mother's bands from high school. He released her band's record last year at some point. Yeah. So he has a really, really cool Patreon setup if you're into that stuff. Into It Over It, live from the Red Room. Super sick. I would recommend checking him out if you're into the emo, mid-2000s, late 2000s stuff. But super, super cool shit. So that's what I got in the mail.
Nice. Yeah, we saw... I
did request he sign it, and he didn't sign it. So I will hold that against him. But it's fine. It's fine.
Snap. Was he taking requests for signatures and then...
No, not at all. No. It's definitely probably my fault. So okay. when you buy from I forget the web store that he goes through. When you buy on there, you can actually put a Google message in the checkout. And I was like, hey, Evan, if this is you packaging this, which I'm pretty sure it is, if you can sign it, that'd be awesome. And probably went unread completely on me. And he didn't sign it, so whatever. It did not come sealed, though. So he could have signed it without without having any issue. But again, he probably never saw it. Not his issue. Yeah. I shouldn't have asked. Whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Didn't we see him open for Frank? I saw him open for Frank Turner. Like, I feel like I've seen him twice or.
You have. So you saw him open. Yeah, we saw him open for Frank, 2011, I think 2012, possibly, and then we saw him open for Saves the Day later on. That was, I believe, I've been telling people this for 7 years now. We saw the last Martini Ranch show. I'm pretty confident that we did. Okay. I think they closed it after that weekend, and that was when Saves the Day played forever.
Mm-hmm. That's a very long night.
As very long night. Like I like Saves the Day, but me and you at the end of it, we literally it's maybe the only time I've ever done this to the show. You and I were at the back of the venue. We were just looking at each other like, this has got to be it, right? This guy, he hasn't said anything, but this has to be it for the last 7 songs, and it never was. And then finally, it ended. But we saw him there too. Yeah, I think I've seen him a few times since then.
I was going to ask you where that was, Martini Ranch. That sounds right.
Martini Ranch.
And coincidentally, that was during baseball playoffs.
It was indeed, yeah, because we were watching the Cards
and Dodgers.
Boom, that's exactly right. 100%. It was the Cards and Dodgers because I remember we were. If people don't know, Arizona is a terrible sports town. So it's if you're an LA fan. You'll be right at home because most California fans live here. So we were in a public setting there, and everyone was stoked on the Dodgers. So fuck them.
I think they lost
forever. Good. Glad they did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Glad they did. Hopefully they lose every time.
Yeah, I mean, they got that Mickey Mouse World Series. That's all they got. So
yeah, exactly. 0-162 would be perfect.
Be actually really impressive.
That'd be more impressive than going 162-0, actually, because it's like you can't even back your way into a win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be really, really hard.
I feel like you and I, as a 2-person team, could back ourselves into a win if we played 162 times.
I don't know about that. 2 guys?
I mean,
playing every position?
I mean, there's only it's a 2-out or a 3-outcome game anyway, right?
Very true.
So whatever. So as long as you play outfield and I pitch, it is what it is.
Just walking a lot. Just walking a lot of guys.
Yeah, exactly. Also that. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. I got a kind of a brand new album here. This is only a week old. This is Avantasia. This is power metal, German. This is Tobias Sammet. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But he's from a German power metal band called Edguy. And this is his kind of side project, but basically his main project now. He's been doing this for many years. The cool thing about this is kind of like a metal opera. That's how it started out. So he brings a bunch of different vocalists in with him. And every record's like that. So it has a bunch of guests on it. This record has Floor Jansen from Nightwish on it. It's got Michael Kiske from Halloween on a couple tracks. Ralph Sheppers from Primal Fear. It's got Jeff Tate on a track from Queensryche. Probably my favorite song on the album, Scars. And a few other guys, too, with him. Very cool power metal stuff. If you're into that, check it out. Very operatic, kind of symphonic type stuff. Very cool gatefold here, too. And it actually...
Let's see what we got here.
On a nice gold.
Nice! That is sick. I like gold.
Yeah.
How about it?
Inca Gold is what it was called. Put out by Nuclear Blast. And then got the gatefold there. Got Tobias there. And then got some cool liner notes.
There you go.
Write up and stuff on the record. A very fun record.
When you said Tobias, I immediately went to Tobias Forge. And I was like, he's another band? From Ghost.
Oh, from Ghost, yeah. This is, I want to say the first Avantasia record's like 2008, 2009, so they've been at it for a while. I think this is like their 6th or 7th record.
Oh,
So
wow, okay.
I think he almost has more Avantasia records than he does Ed Guy records, which is Ed Guy was his main band.
Yeah.
The side project kind of turns into the main thing.
Is that going to be? So he has a lot of guest vocalists on there. Is that basically his band though?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically his band, but he brings in vocalists every record to guest with him.
And the other band is probably a band, right? So it might just be easier to do those than it is to do a full band deal.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. But yeah, they sound great. Tobias does lead and backing vocals. He plays keyboards and bass on this record too. But then he's got a full band with him, and then plus the additional vocalists. It's a very cool record's called A Paranormal Evening with the Moonflower Society. I really dig the album cover. Anna really likes it too. It's kind of like Tim Burton-esque.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Kind of nightmare.
That is it's a hell of a title as well.
Yeah, very long.
Yeah.
Very long.
It's a mouthful for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, cool record. I've been digging it, and I've been trying to keep up on the new releases that I like. That way, they don't go out of print, and then they're thousands of dollars and all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
and also you don't fall behind just with listening as well, which is nice.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been actually trying to be smart about it. Listening to it on Spotify before actually buying it, and
good call.
That one I listened to like 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, yeah, I like it enough. I'm gonna pick it up. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah. How much was it?
I want to say like 32.
Yeah.
33.
Just what they are. So
not hateful. 2 LP. I mean,
yeah.
At least it's not a single LP that's $50, which happens. So.
Oh my god, yeah, that's it's basically every big box release now is going to be $35 for a single LP, no gatefold, like just garbage. I mean, the Adele records, like that's pretty much like when everything went up, because I think the Adele when they first went out were like $30 a piece, and it's just a big sleeve and 2 LPs, and just like no other thing going on there. So
exactly. So at least that has the gatefold, and it's got a color variant. So
you feel like you got something.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Feels like worth it. But yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. Yeah. Okay. So my next purchase here, I've actually been looking at this forever, at least the last year-ish, since it came out, and I'm stoked I finally have it. Oasis, live at Nebworth from '96. I'm a big Oasis fan. So, big Liam Gallagher fan as well, and he's looking all, on the cover there, looking all. And so, Trifold, which is super sick.
Is it 2 LP?
So, triple LP.
Oh, wow.
Trifold. Super, super sick. So, I don't know if you're up on the Oasis viewers. I know Ty is, but the Oasis brothers, Noel and Liam Gallagher, there's a big feud within that band. And they broke up in 2009, and they hate each other, and they just constantly jab back and forth, even today, as 50 and 54-year-old men at this point. They still jab back and forth each other constantly. And, so they hadn't really dusted off too much in the most recent times when it comes to releases. This is the first thing that's come out in a while from the Oasis camp. And this is Nebworth 96, like I said. This is like 150,000 people watched them play, and they were the biggest. Maybe not they ever were, but they were damn near as big as they ever were coming off of the first 2 records. So it has, all the songs from the '90s that you want on here. Obviously, Columbia, Acquiesce, Supersonic. Supersonic still, like, that's one of the coolest sounding songs of all fucking time. So I love Supersonic. Some might say roll with it. Basically play the first 2 records almost entirely.
Nice.
And super, super sick. But love Oasis. Triple LP. It's a really cool set. They also had the DVD and the Blu-ray come out too. I need to pick those up because it's still super, super, super cool. I've watched a few videos from it, and always just amazes me that there are that for any band, really for any band, but especially, back then, it just amazes me that there was 150,000 people in one place in one point in time all there just for one band, not a festival. It was, I mean, Nebworth, whatever, but like it was Oasis, so they all were there for that, and they just was fucking insane, incredible. Yeah, so super super sick, and this will probably be one of. Maybe I'm not saying that. Maybe that's not true, but they recently got another spat because Liam, who is actually pretty successful with a solo run right now, the last 2 records he's done have been real big, and Noel has quite a few records with the High Flying Birds. That's his band, and they've been going since Oasis broke up. Liam did BDI, which was with most of the guys that were in Oasis. They continue on as BDI. They broke up like 2 years later, so like they had a record and whatever. But his last 2 solo records, or 3, I think it is now, super, super sick. The first one especially is super sick. So the theory is that Noel, who is successful, whatever, but he's not hitting like Liam is right now for sure, especially because he's the voice. Noel put a strike against Liam for his new, because Liam actually went back to Nebworth a few months ago, and he did monster business there, 100,000 people, whatever, right? And so he played a lot of the Oasis tracks, obviously, because they're, whatever, he's part of the band. And so since Noel wrote the songs, Noel made it so he wasn't able to actually put those songs on his Blu-ray. So when he did his Blu-ray release and his Live at Nebworth 2022 release, he fucked Liam over. So then Liam was just kind of like, all right, well, I guess it is what it is. But so still feuding, and probably not going to get any new Oasis stuff out there anytime soon. So yeah, but it's a cool set if you're into Oasis.
When's their last record? When did they?
2009.
Okay, so they did a record. 09.
They did a record, and they're on tour. Then they broke up. They got in a fight and broke up, and then Liam broke Noel's guitar, and Noel, I believe, threw an apple at Liam. So that's our pair, possibly, and then it was all over from there, as it happens. Tails all the time.
Yeah. Band feuds are always fascinating, and then it's even more fascinating when it's family. I mean...
Yeah, for sure. It's also weird because they still operate in the same, country, and the country is obviously England, and it's not like a massive scene necessarily. So, you're still running into guys, in the happening, and so they have to negotiate that and, not play on the same days and things, and just super weird stuff. But, that's going on 13 years strong now, but they've had a feud, obviously, since the beginning of the band, so...
Sure, yeah.
But if you're into Oasis, Live at Nebworth 96, the videos are out there on YouTube, and then obviously on Spotify and shit. Super sick, sound awesome, and couldn't recommend it enough. But super.
How much is that set?
So it's 57, so $60. So not crazy. Cause it's it's not a literal box, obviously, but trifold and a thickie. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Gotcha. I don't know.
But you feel like you got something.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Let's move on here. More Zia. So these are all Zia picked up. So literally from yesterday. Yeah. So it's like, all right, let's drop in. It's a little chaotic in there. It's coming home from the shop, and they were resetting the store again, moving shit around. So it's like every year it seems like they change shit.
What they change now?
They were just moving. I don't even really know. They were just moving sections around. I don't know. I was I saw it mid-go, so it'll make sense, obviously, going back and seeing
at the end. Yeah.
So yeah.
Hopefully it does. You don't know though. They could definitely just screw it all up altogether again. They've done many times before.
No, 100%. So picked up Aerosmith, Permanent Vacation.
Ooh,
this is actually
all right.
A promo as well.
Nice, hell yeah!
So that's kind of the main reason I picked it up. I enjoy this record, but Aerosmith's honestly one of those bands that is maybe ripe for a good topic on a later episode of Living Deadwax. Kind of like bands that you like the hits and
just like the songs. That's it.
Exactly.
It's the Motley Crue, Kiss. For us,
Queen,
another one. You might want to factor in maybe a few other non-hits, But it's just hits, man. Let's be honest. There's a reason why all the greatest hits for those bands are massive deals, or live records for Kiss, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, so this is a very, very clean copy, promo copy from, I want to say it's from 87 too.
What's on there? I don't even remember what's on there.
This is Dude Looks Like a Lady, and Ragdoll, Angel. Those are the biggest songs. Permanent Vacation, the title track, is a cool kind of deep cut that I remember too.
Yeah.
But it's been so long since I've listened to it all the way through. But fun record.
That's super sick. I think I have that. I think Pops has it in that collection. But I think that was one of the records I pulled out way back when I was messing around with vinyl. I pulled that out and I forgot what's on there. But because I just knew, Dude Looks Like a Lady, Angel, all that stuff. Like, it gets you into the record, and those are all massive songs.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is when they brought in outside songwriters to
Desmond Child.
To really hit. Yeah, I think Desmond Child is on. I think Dude Looks Like a Lady.
Yeah, he was bouncing around a minute there. Yeah, he was bouncing around a minute there because he wrote for Kiss back then. He wrote for Aerosmith. He wrote for Bon Jovi, maybe, and Def Leppard. He worked with a lot of the 70s, 80s guys.
Yeah, Desmond Child, Dude Looks Like a Lady, the opening track, Heart's Done Time.
Yeah.
But almost every one of these songs is somebody else outside of the band.
Okay. For co-writes or for full writing or co-writes? I assume co-writes, right?
Co-writes.
Yeah.
What cool inner.
Hell yeah.
And this is like pretty minty. So, and it was $15.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah,
that's all day long.
A gold stamp promo and pretty minty copy.
I'm all about that. I love it.
Not too bad. Permanent Vacation.
Yeah, I think I only have. We have Pump because me and you bought Pump together because I think you bought it. This is your not your current collection, prior collection.
Yeah.
I think we found Pump within a week of each other. Because I remember I found a sealed copy, or maybe you did, possibly. And then the next one of us found Pump like a week later. After, I think we had already said, we're probably never going to find Pump. Because Pump's 89? 90?
I think it's 90.
It's a late vinyl record, though, for sure.
Check it out. Yeah, I enjoy Pump more.
Yeah, it's got more on there.
Honestly.
So Janie's got a gun on there.
Pump is 89, so it's 2 years after Permanent Vacation.
Yeah. That was the... I didn't even know what that record was for a long time growing up. I just remember that was on the... Yeah, I just remember that was on the... It was so my parents had a CD carousel, and on the outside of the carousel, it didn't move, and I was too small to actually move it, right? So it stayed in the same position. My parents didn't really listen to their CDs at a certain point or whatever. I don't know. So it didn't really move much growing up, and the outside CDs that I could see was Pump, and the other one was the Bryan Adams Summer '69, the Tire record.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah.
Yeah. My parents had
those
that
are the two
CD
records.
Too.
There you go. Yeah. But those are the two outside CDs that I saw. So I didn't know what the hell they were. I was 5 or whatever, right? And I just remember seeing pictures. I just remember seeing that all the time. And then later in life, obviously linked them together and was like, oh, that's what that is, and that's what that is. But at the time, I had no idea, not a clue.
Yeah. So that's actually the first Aerosmith adding back into the collection that I bought since I started collecting again. So I saw it there and I was like, gold label, and it's nice, $15.
I mean, like we just said, like they're not a band we're going to complete the discography of. It's not a thing.
No,
we're
like
just not going to do it.
Honestly, like I'm looking for like Toys in the Attic. Obviously, Rocks is a really good. I enjoy Rocks. Permanent Vacation, Pump.
Yeah,
probably about it.
I want to get a live
maybe
bootleg.
Get a Grip.
Yeah, fair. Live bootleg is supposed to be like the next level, like kind of like a live release for them, because it's supposedly super, super raw and basically is a bootleg that they officially sanctioned, obviously, and they put out themselves.
Yeah, I remember. I had it before. I remember listening to it. I just haven't heard it in so long. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah, I just whenever anybody does like lists of like live records and stuff, it kind of comes up.
Gotcha.
just because it's it's super cool. But yeah, that's super sick though. Is that your last one?
No, I've got three more.
Keep going. I'm out. So you keep going, brother.
You're out. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'll run through this next one pretty quick. So, AC/DC 74 Jailbreak.
Oh.
This thing is
repress
minty.
or is that?
This is 84. This came out in 84. 74 is weird because it came out in 84 in the States. Okay. This is basically like a compilation. It's a 5-track kind of EP compilation of early stuff that kind of didn't come out here. So you've got Jailbreak, You Ain't Got a Hold on Me, Show Business. That's a cool song. Very nice pressing too. It was very minty. Soul Stripper, and then it's got a cover, Baby Please Don't Go. Cool thing about this is I think this came from the same collection, also a gold label promo.
Yeah, that's so. Ty and I I've run into that 100 times, where like you go to a place and like you see one cool thing, and you're like, oh, sick, whatever, and then you're like, I wonder what else they got there, and it's always like not always, obviously, but it seems as though many times you run into one guy's collection and you see a lot of the same shit. Like we'll often see like. If we see one minty whatever band record, we're like, oh shit, super mint, cool. And then like you think about what bands that guy could have also been into. So like you think about like, oh, he's got minty purple. Like, oh, maybe I look for Rainbow. Maybe I look for Whitesnake. Maybe you just kind of branch off and see like, oh shit, like what else would this guy be into? And then you kind of rate the bins and look for the spots and stuff. Yeah. And one of those things is promos, but also when we get super, super lucky and we get like the cellophane hype stickers and stuff like that. Like,
or even
I think,
sealed stuff.
Or even sealed, exactly. Like, I think the last time that happened with me was when we were at Zia, like a couple months ago by now, and I got the Scorpions, Rocky Like a Hurricane.
Yeah, Love It for Sting.
There you go.
Love It for
Sting. I Love It for Sting. And then I also got you could make the case it's not the same guy, but I also got the Randy Newman Short People record. Yeah, with cellophane hype sticker. So could have been the same guy. Who knows?
Might have been a coincidence.
But could have been. But that probably is the same guy for sure on your end there.
I want to show off this inner.
Oh hell yeah!
It's minty, and Angus, I love that picture. Angus, this looks like a baby.
Very small man, very slight boy, for sure.
Well, yeah, and then he obviously still looks like a baby face. Like it's ridiculous. All the whiskey and cigarettes hadn't got to him yet.
Not at that point. I did actually see a video. I was gonna send it to you yesterday. I saw a video yesterday. It was a guy, Spatula City Records. It's a YouTube guy. Shout out to that guy. But I watched. He was showing off a collection that came in, and he's out in Coachella Valley. So like he's like the only guy down there, I guess, whatever, right? He sells a lot of online stuff. So anyway, he was showing off a collection that came in, and this guy's collection had a bunch of crazy shit, like a crazy 80s, all the Maiden picture discs, and he looks like a guy who was a huge Maiden fan, not the YouTube guy, the collection guy.
Okay.
And he had every Maiden record from the 80s, whatever, and then he had a bunch of different pressings of that. But he was also a big AC/DC fan. And he had all the Aussie release AC/DC records with all the Aussie covers and shit. So, like, I personally, I don't know if we've ever seen an Aussie cover, but they're different from way, way back. They have different covers for a couple of those records. So, it's the first time I've seen a lot of those. I'm like, oh, shit. Like, High Voltage has a different cover.
Yep.
And some other ones, too, off the top of my head. Yeah. But I saw those, and I was like, that's super. Like, this guy had a lot of cool shit. Had all like the picture disc singles for like Maiden and for Crew and for all the other various bands and shit. Had a lot of cool shit. But he was just doing a collection like this is what I just got in kind of thing, whatever, right? But it was super sick, and I saw a lot of the AC/DC Aussie records for the first time.
Yeah. I want to say TNT. I want to say the record is TNT as well, and it's Dirty Deeds here.
Ooh, I think that sounds right.
Yeah,
I'll go with you on it.
Yeah. But very cool pressing, and I saw that, and I was like, gotta have it. That was like 20, but I was like, it's nice AC/DC, so
that's the prices. Like that's unfortunately just the prices now.
It is what it is. Next one though, I caught him slipping.
Okay, sick, love it.
Pretty hard.
Love it.
So this band is Chackle. I don't know how to pronounce it. I knew this album cover. I've seen this album cover before on the internet. I've seen it on Metal Archives. So I knew of it. Price sticker. I don't know if you can see that. $5.99.
Love it.
I knew it wasn't $5.99.
Okay.
And then I was like, maybe this is screwed up. Pulled it out. The record is so glossy. It's like perfect. Okay. So this band is a Brazilian thrash metal band.
Okay.
So very Sepultura-esque. This is from '93. It's a '93 pressing. It's only ever been pressed once, and this is from Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Wow.
There's no other vinyl pressing of this because I looked it up on Discogs to see prices, and everything's all $100 plus $25 shipping from Brazil. A lot of Brazilian listings on there. Very cool record too. It's like not just I didn't just honestly I bought it just because it was $5.99 and I'm like I know it's not worth $5.99. But then I actually listened to it for the first time on the way home from Zia on Spotify. I'm like, this is pretty fucking cool, too. Because I knew it was thrash, and I knew I'm probably going to enjoy some of it. But I really enjoy it. It's got, like, a lot of chug to it. Almost, like, crossover-esque. And it's, like, really humorous, too. Like, some of the song titles are really stupid. And I don't know if, like, it's just because of the broken English. But, so, like, some of them are... Like, one of the tracks is called Panic in the Fast Food. I don't know. Cool song, though.
Panic Restaurant.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. One of them is Strawberry Jelly on Mars, Watching the Dick Birds Fly South. No idea. It's it's just nonsense. But it might make sense in Portuguese.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, this is... It's like... I don't know. Quagmolo Records.
Yeah.
And
so had you ever know? So when you found that, had you known that band existed prior?
I knew the album cover because it's a pretty gnarly album cover. I'll hold it back up here in a second because I had seen this album cover listed in Threads. It's a pretty gnarly album cover. I'm assuming, obviously, it's a real picture.
Yeah.
You know, somebody's skull. Head. Yeah, skull or whatever it is. And then I looked at the back, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this has got, like, he's wearing a Sepultura shirt.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then you got a Voivod shirt, and then a Joe Satriani shirt. So you just look at the back, and you're like, all right, this is going to be cool. And then I knew the album cover, and I knew it wasn't $6, and I looked it up on Discogs, and I'm like, yeah, it's not $6. So you know how they started doing where they put the title here on the sticker? Yeah. This says Warped Records. And the record isn't warped.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's like so glossy and perfect. I haven't spun it yet, but it's like it's so minty. And I mean the sleeve is like probably a good or a VG in some people's grade, but the record's near mint.
Yeah.
So like this is not $6. Like, and you know them. At first I was like maybe somebody swapped the sticker because that's
where I was going.
This wasn't even in the metal. It was in the S's in rock. And I was just randomly flipping through the S's and saw it. And it starts with a C. So I don't know if they mispriced or if somebody peeled the sticker off. Wasn't me, swear. I wouldn't even have done that. If it was like $50, $60, I wouldn't have bought it. But here's also the thing, Tyler, that I'm like, that probably didn't happen. It's because they tape up all the records that are like more than $40.
Yeah.
So I think they just... I don't know who's pricing records, but they screwed up.
So did you? So you looked on Discogs. Did you see any drop on a Discogs sale? Like, did anybody sell like a cover or something for $6 or something or other? And then they could have like considered that like so it was all $100 all day. Yeah,
I think the last one was like $70 or something.
Yeah, interesting. Because you always wonder where they get the pricing from. Because just for reference, again, we're just anecdotally here, or whatever, just talking bullshit about local stuff. But we routinely, because you went to Thunderbird, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in Phoenix, Arizona, you might people that watch this, Zia Records start doing their own pressings and variants and stuff like that. Super cool, good for them. Start new licensing, super cool, love it. But there's like 5 locations here in the greater Phoenix area, And they usually, unfortunately, and I'm sure that around your town and your state and your country, whatever, the same thing, is they started pricing by band name, basically by name value. So
Usually,
we'll find like, so Ty's trying to get all the rushes he can now. He's trying to get all the rushes back, and he's gotten most of them back, but he's still trying to get the best rushes he can. So we'll look out for the rush, and we'll find ruined, absolutely ruined copies of 2112, the first record, Farewell to Kings, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they'll even ruined, record and sleeve ruined for $14.
Yeah, there was actually there was a Hemispheres there, because Hemispheres is something I need to add back in, and it was like $20, and it was, the sleeve was absolutely atrocious, and I still pulled it out because I'm like, I'm just gonna check the record in case the record's nice, and it was also just wrecked. So, they got slip in there though. I don't know who's pricing stuff, but they need to work on it.
Scored one for the good guys for sure.
I was kind of pissed though, bro, because I wanted to look through the rest of the metal because that wasn't even in the metal. But they were doing a store reset, like I said, and they were moving all the metal around, and it was all awkward and shit. And the one of the manager dudes one of the few people that have been there forever that I still recognize from 10 years ago was like moving all the shit around, and I didn't feel like going over there and like looking through shit while they're trying to move shit around. So who knows? There probably could have been something else cool in there.
Yeah, there definitely was, because there's. He had other shit, obviously, whatever, because no one has a Brazilian thrash metal fucking band just randomly in their collection, plus a bunch of
I tried to flip through like certain sections, like Maiden and Priest and all the heavy hitters, and didn't notice anything, but I didn't have a chance to look through everything. And then the last pickup here, I'll go into this. So I didn't catch them slipping on this one. Okay. Spent some money on this one. But I looked it up, and I'm like, this could get a 30th anniversary pressing. It came out in 92. I looked it up, and the 30th anniversary had already passed. It was like July, June or July. And they didn't do anything. They didn't announce anything. This is a band that doesn't get any represses. The shit comes out, and it's done. And then this got a Music on Vinyl repress 2013 and 2016. This is the 2016 pressing. Regularly goes for $100 plus. They had it priced. They had it priced cheap enough. So I was interested. Dream Theater.
There you go.
Images and Words. I had to have this. This is a record I didn't have in the collection prior, my first collection, and then I had to have it. It's my favorite Dream Theater record. This is Music on Vinyl. Haven't spun it yet, but I'm sure it sounds great.
Are they a Roadrunner band too?
This is Atlantic. They are currently. I don't know if they still are on Roadrunner, but they used to be.
Okay.
But this is in Atlantic. This is back when they were on a major. But it's on like a gold, kind of a gold swirl with a red.
Yeah, I just see red on that. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, you can see the gold kind of in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, great album. And I looked it up because I'm like, this could get a 30th anniversary, and they didn't even announce. They announced some like T-shirts.
Interesting.
So, and this is 2016. So I felt like I was safe spending a little bit of money.
How much was it?
This was $90.
Jesus.
So, yeah, I spent some money on it, but it was one I've always
wanted. That's the most money you spent on a record, not a box, as long as I can remember right now.
Yeah, I spent like $60 on At the Gates, Slaughter to the Soul, like a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's another one that doesn't get either. So
that might be your most expensive record ever, single, non-box, whatever the hell. That might be your most expensive record you ever bought. Because
possibly.
I'm remembering back in the day, like we also had a lot less disposable income back in the day, but I don't think that you were even, there was nothing out there at the time that you were buying $90 for. But that's awesome.
One I had to have. It was on the wall. Yeah. It came in on the day before Halloween, so it was only there like 2 days. Oh wow, okay. And I had to have it. I had to spend the money. It's regularly $100 plus on Discogs, so I was like,
is that the record?
I felt safe. That's their biggest record, yeah. That has Pull Me Under on it. It's it's my favorite record. Probably to me, it's their best record, beginning to end.
Okay.
They've got just a slew of kick-ass albums, but that's my favorite record. It's got my favorite songs on there. So
I didn't. So okay, well, this story is meaningless because of who it's about. But I didn't know that they never get stuff reissued very often. I didn't know that because my only reference. I'm not a big Dream Theater fan. I've seen a lot more Mike Portnoy and everything else in life, talking, interviews, other bands, whatever the hell, than I have with Dream Theater, which is funny because that's what was his band for 25 years, right? But Mike Portnoy also collects vinyl and stuff. We'll get on the show sometime. But Mike also collects vinyl, so he went over, I think, pandemic times possibly. He was doing his big collection video, and he had obviously his Dream Theater section. And he was flipping through, and he had everything. And so I just, in my brain, I was like, oh, I bet that stuff's kind of just not super, like, they're not paving the streets with it necessarily, but I imagine the stuff's easy to get. So I didn't know that most of the stuff kind of just comes and goes as it gets pressed one time, basically.
No, because I've looked into it, and all their stuff is around that price.
That's crazy.
It's just, the stuff comes out, and then it'll get represses. So I don't know if, like, music on vinyl doesn't have the rights to it anymore. So they did it in 2013, and then they did it in 2016, that color variant. That's it. So that's 6 years now. And the 30th anniversary just passed. That's their biggest record. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I Googled it. I was looking through all the articles and shit. There was some interviews about the 30th anniversary. There was an announcement for T-shirts and shit. Nothing about box sets or new CDs or DVDs or Blu-rays or vinyl. So I was like, all right, I'm safe here. I don't think anything's going to come out. So
with them as well, like we don't want to keep waxing on about Dream Theater here, but 85. So they're coming up on 40. Here in a couple of years. They have a lot of records, so maybe they won't all get reissued.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Got an 18 records, 17, 18 records, looks like.
Sounds right.
So maybe they'll all get reissued. Well, they have a new record, so probably not that one. But, like,
that one you can still buy.
Yeah.
I see a lot, yeah.
But everything else, you said, is pretty much gone. That's super sick, though. That you found that, because I just, again, thinking, in my mind, have not really seen much Dream Theater beyond whatever's new out. I don't look for it, but I haven't seen anything.
No, you don't see it. I mean, it's just like kind of like Rush. They're a prog band, so, and then they have metal too. They're a prog metal band, so the people who collect that shit, they collect it, buy it, and then hang on to it forever.
Forever, because. Don't mean to insult the prog metal fans, but y'all are the geekiest, weirdest, and I love it because I'm also there with you. But like, y'all are not getting rid of that once they get it. Like they have it forever, and their kids have it, and then hopefully, maybe in order for somebody else to get it, somebody has to die, somebody has to not want it, all that stuff. Yeah.
I felt a little better. I showed Anna I showed her that Chaco, that Brazilian band.
Yeah.
I showed her that first and told her that I caught them slipping.
Okay, so it's supplemental kind of thing.
Yeah, and then she saw the Dream Theater, like, the next thing on the stack, because she's like, oh, what'd you get, or whatever. And I'm like, I caught him slipping again, because I've caught him, like, on other shit before, too.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
so if you think about it, it was more like, like this, so we're all right,
I broke even.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then she saw the $100, she's like, oh, that's $100. And I'm like, yeah, that one, that's what it's worth. So
I was going to ask you about the Brazilian band, the other band. I was going to ask you, is this sound like Sepultura? Because like I know just ancillary Sepultura stuff from you. So like I know Sepultura, especially the Chaos AD record, right?
Sure, that's a big record. That's more like.
But I know.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but I know that the thing about that record is it has a lot of tribal sounds on there. It sounds very very different, and that leads into the nu metal stuff eventually at some point, for influence or what have you.
Some of their stuff might have that on there. Where was it? Some of their stuff might have it, just for reference for people. Some of their other records, because I looked them up and they got I think 5 or 6 records. Some of their stuff might have that in there. This does not. This is more just a straight up thrash kind of crossover record. And a lot of early Sepultura didn't have that. I mean, Sepultura started out as a death metal band. and then slowly evolved into thrash. I like Sepultura way fucking more than this record, but this is
still
fun.
super cool.
It was definitely fun, and it's worth having in the collection. I probably would have spent $15 on it, $20 on it, and I still would have been good. So $6 on it. And it's 93. Came from Brazil, made it all the way to it. Made it there. Maybe this is from Max's collection. I don't know. He lives here, so maybe Max Cavalera. Like, I gotta get rid of this shit.
It's totally possible, I guess, right? Yeah.
So
they're rolling around here,
and I've only ever listened to it literally the one time on Spotify, but I'm like, this is fun. So I'm gonna check out more of their stuff and obviously spin this. So
that's cool though, because like, I mean, we've talked about this before. Like Brazil, because of their tariffs and their import fees and all that stuff, is they do a lot of shit there. So there are presses for stuff because they have stuff there. They have to make everything there that they have. So like that they do vinyl pressings probably way later than what we did. Because I remember when I was trying to get all the Bruces and stuff, Brazil and Spain especially, but also Brazil, there was a lot of Brazilian pressings for stuff. And I didn't really think about it. And then obviously when we got older and stuff, and it kind of dawned on me, like, oh, it's because all the import and the tariffs and everything else it is to get things in there. That's why they make PlayStations there, right? That's why they make a lot of shit there, because they need to, because in order to import it, like a PS3 at the time we were talking about, it costs like $2,000 some shit, right? Like,
exactly.
Insane. Yeah. That's awesome. That's super sick. You got those.
Yeah, I was stoked to catch him slipping. Happens sometimes, very rarely.
Hey, but back to back, bro. Back to back weeks. I won last week with my Jag Panzer. You won this week with your Choco.
It's like Choco, or I don't know.
Choco. I
gotta look it up. It's probably like some Brazilian, like Portuguese word or something. I have no idea.
Yeah, we're probably saying pussy or something. Like we're probably saying something we shouldn't be saying.
Probably very bad. Yes, probably a bad word.
About to get flagged in Brazil real quick.
Yeah. So that's it for like pickups, guys. Let us know what you thought about those down in the comments below. We're gonna get into the main
you got stories about them for sure.
Yeah, definitely add it, and what you've been picking up too. Love to read that stuff. So let's get into the main topic. So this is Tyler's choice. My
choice for this week. So last week, if you're following on the show, which I appreciate if you are, dozens and dozens of listeners here, millions soon, but and watchers. But I didn't have a thing last week, so spitballing with Ty back and forth after we cut the cameras, some backstage stuff. Thought about childhood records, like records that maybe just have like such a vivid connection to you in a certain event, because for me. Like, for a lot of these, I just have such a vivid connection and, like, memory of seeing the cover, of hearing something or whatever, and just having a story behind, like, the first time I ever saw that or whatever, or just, like, a certain thing that would happen with, in my life when I heard that record, whatever it is, or, like, kind of set me up for a certain kind of music appreciation later on, being able to get into more music and more stuff from those little basis records, for sure.
Yeah, that's basically the way I took it too. So I think we were kind of coming at it from the same spots. So just like very nostalgic records that you kind of grew up around, or your parents introduced you to, or brothers, or whatever, our family members, what have you, and stuff that's just kind of always been a constant, and then kind of sets you up for your musical taste later on. That's kind of the way I interpret it. So
for sure.
I don't know if you want to start, or
I'll kick it off.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So my first here originally came out in 95, but it finally got a vinyl pressing here, I think last year, the year before last, and it's gone in and out of print since then, and every time it goes out of print, it gets more and more expensive. But so my first ever musical memory was listening to this artist and knowing the big hit at the time or whatever. And this is going to be Alan Jackson. This is the Greatest Hits collection from 95. This is my first concert ever, was for this tour when he put the Greatest Hits out. It's the first time I ever went to a show, the first time I ever saw anything or heard anything in a concert form was this record. Alan Jackson is my first ever favorite group or artist, I suppose, in this case. Like, that was my first ever connection. Like, I still vividly remember having the headphones on with this amp right here, having the headphones on and listening to the CD and singing or like mumbling every word as like what, a 4-year-old, 3-4-year-old or whatever. and just super, super, like, just very nostalgic when I listen to Alan Jackson. I have a lot of connections and memories and stuff because my parents in the 90s, which a lot of middle class whites, what they did is they went more country than what they did prior. So like they just did a lot of Alan Jackson, a lot of other artists I'm going to mention here in a minute. But they went very, very country. So that was my first country connection. My mom's favorite guy was Alan Jackson, so just kind of got that going on.
Yeah, my parents did the same arc, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Did the same storyline.
Yeah,
I'm not, my Alan Jackson story.
Yeah, he's not a fan. Not a fan of
Alan
Jackson.
I don't dislike Alan Jackson, but I was traumatized by Alan Jackson because my best friend, when I was growing up, as a 5-year-old, up until like really we moved, so like from like literal like walking age to like 10 years old.
In Maryland.
Yep. Back in the MD, they lived up the street from us, and I would stay over their house. And his mom was a giant Alan Jackson fan, and it was all over their house. She had like standees and plates with his face on it and shit. So I just remember being like a kid and seeing all this shit and being like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Oh, 100%.
That was probably like my real first taste of like obsessive fandom, honestly.
Wow. Nice.
As like a young kid, like, because that's like all she collected was Alan Jackson shit. So yeah.
So moms do the same thing. Like I don't know if you were talking this before, but like my mom did the same thing. So moms bought plates. Moms bought promo posters, of which I have currently. And she's asked me why I don't put them up or frame them, and then I can't do that because I'm not putting up. She has a literal, because if you remember this, and our viewers as well. Late 90s, Alan Jackson had an endorsement with Ford trucks. So he had a big poster that they would put in Ford dealerships. And I don't know if it's life size, but it's damn near life size. And they had two different versions. They have a version with just him, and then later they photoshopped in a fucking F-150 in front of him. So like there's two versions of the poster. Mom's has the first version with just him. And so it's massive. She had it laminated, and hung it behind her door like I would a Carmen Electra poster in 1997.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Got out of her mom's and dad, or at least make it less obvious or whatever, right? Yeah. I never had the balls for a Carmen Electra poster, by the way, but Josh Brown, Ty's brother, did. So there you go.
Josh, you're listening? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, shout out Josh Brown.
Shout out Josh.
So she also had an obsessive fandom as well. And thinking back now, like I think that might be where I got my obsessive fandom for certain things as well, and certain artists. Maybe my mother buying plates from QVC late at night and having a stack of them. Not even up. She never displayed them. They were in her closet, and she just had a fat stack of these plates in the box still. I just remember that. Just insane weird stuff. Yeah, so the middle-aged white women of the 90s all bought plates from Alan Jackson, so there you go.
My mom did not buy plates of any people.
Damn it.
So, I don't know.
Connie girl.
I don't know.
She missed the boat on it.
All right, so my first one.
Please.
I'm going to go with, it's a record that was introduced to me by, like, parents or a band, but it's my first thing I ever bought. And I'm going to go with AC/DC. Back in Black.
Wow. Okay.
So this is the first record I ever owned as like a 6-7-year-old, and I'm going to show off the cassette as well. This is the record store day release. I think this is like 2018.
Wow. Okay.
You were there when I bought this.
Yeah. I didn't remember. I forgot all about it, honestly.
Yeah. So this is how I owned it on cassette.
Okay.
And I would listen to it all the time, just over and over again on the Walkman. Yeah. So yeah, I had to have that, and then this is a repress. So it's got I hate that label. The original label is cool because it's all black and silver, and it's got the Atlantic logo on there.
Your first collection, I remember we found you Back in Black buried underneath. Cellophane buried underneath on a Friday night. We were very cool guys, so we were digging underneath crates, underneath CD racks way back when. That's where the metal was, and that was it was non-checked in but priced metal, And I just remember us just digging under that and just trying to find shit, and we found a cellophane. It was the cellophane was a little worse for wear, but the record and the sleeve were real nice. I remember it vividly.
Wish I still had it.
Yeah, that'd be a nice one.
Yeah, this got turned in used, and it was like $15, and I'm like, I'm never gonna find a nice copy again, and it's gonna be $40, so or whatever, and I'm not gonna spend that on a record that has 10 million copies sold.
For sure.
Anyway,
it's the black, man. The black gives that it's unforgiving, man. Like that stuff just fades. It gets ring wear. Everything, you just see every mile of that for sure.
Totally. So yeah, they're definitely hard to keep nice. But obviously, just a classic record. I mean, all those tracks. I actually was listening to it the other night. Still so good. It's kind of got the Appetite thing for me, where I've heard all the songs so many times. But some of the deep cuts, like "What Do You Do for Money, Honey?" Like that song's fucking sick. Giving the Dog a Bone. Obviously, as an 8-year-old, you have no fucking idea what these songs are about. It's giving the dog a bone. It's like, what is he literally giving a dog a bone? Like that's what
100%.
That's what you think.
Because I was an ancillary listener because my parents were not really into AC/DC, so I didn't really get a lot of deep cuts. So when you showed me that song and then you told me the story, whatever, I also, as a 19-year-old, when you showed me that, whatever, I was like, I don't know what the hell that is, brother. And you were like, explained it. And I was like, oh, this makes a lot more sense. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of AC/DC makes more sense when it's all sexual innuendos.
Exactly.
It's okay, that's what they were writing about. Still just a great record. It's got the Mutt Lange production. Obviously, he was killing it in the 80s. So yeah, I still love the record. And my vivid memory, like one of my first songs I ever heard was Hell's Bells. And like we would do like air guitar to Hell's Bells. Like, and then Maximum Overdrive, like my dad introduced that movie to me and all of us. So that, like, I love the Who Made Who soundtrack, still do. So, that's it. That's kind of spawned my love for AC/DC, and this is the first album I ever owned. So,
is that your okay? So, do you think that's the first heavy thing you heard?
I've got a later artist that maybe is before that, but yeah, probably, definitely up there.
It's around the same time for sure. The first heavy thing, and
it's something that I'm comprehending. Like, oh, this is like a harder than other shit I'm hearing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
probably
for sure.
Yeah. So AC/DC's probably spawned my love of metal, and then getting into more extreme versions of metal. Yeah, it probably started all there.
Absolutely, that was definitely. They're definitely an entry level band for a lot of people for sure, especially back in that day. But that's super sick. Going off of yours, my next one. Going off yours, I was gonna bounce around, I guess. But going off of yours, ooh, actually, hold on. Oh, whatever. I'll put it in to. I guess it was my honorable mentions, but whatever. I'll put it on this one because it's all the same. But I'll put Def Leppard, The Vaults.
That's such a nice copy.
It's so sick. Like, it's So I still have the cellophane on here or whatever because I'm a weirdo. There's no hype sticker either. I mean, I don't really need to have it on there, but it's already been on there for so long. It's cracked or whatever, but it's fine. So Def Lepp. Dad was a massive Def Leppard fan, and I shouldn't say massive. He had all the records or whatever, right? But like, I didn't really get to hear any of them until this came out. So it's 96, 95. Well, it goes to 95 when it came out. So I was 4, and I didn't really know much of Def Leppard before this. I think Dad probably had the records for sure. Obviously, he wasn't listening to vinyl at that point, and I'm sure he had the CDs, but I just vividly remember Dad having the Vault CD in the car, and that was my first exposure to Def Leppard. Like, I just remember driving around in the 1985 Monte Carlo SS Black, all the windows down, and listening to Def Leppard just running through the record over and over and over again. And that was definitely my spawn of my Def Lepp love. I still love Def Leppard, especially obviously all the 80s records and stuff. One of my favorite 80s bands for sure. I'm still a little upset that I have not seen them as of yet. But I think Def Leppard is something that kind of, especially because they weren't on Spotify for so long, once they finally got added onto Spotify, definitely dove real deep into Def Leppard, and I think most of Hysteria was my top songs for like 2018 or whatever it was when they came on.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Yeah. My actually love for Def Leppard came much later in life.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, my parents weren't really into Def Leppard. Like, they were around. I always heard the songs on the radio. I don't remember my parents ever owning a Def Leppard CD.
Oh wow, okay.
Like, my parents didn't even own the Vault, so I just don't think my mom was into them.
You got the double disc though later. We've talked about before.
Oh yeah. I got that later in life when I was started buying CDs and records and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, my love came much later. Yeah, I want to say, like, I remember hearing Mirror Mirror on the song off Pyromania, I believe.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that on the radio, maybe like at 12, 13, and being like, oh, that's a kick-ass song, because I never heard it before, because it's kind of a deeper cut.
Yeah.
It's not Photograph. And then that's a cool song, and then kind of diving in a little bit more after that.
Speaking of that, I think those being on Vice City, because Photograph was on there, I think Foolin' was also on there, and I think that was also another thing that spawned a lot of the Def Leppard love for me, because I constantly put on the... What was the station called?
Is it K-Dust?
Ooh, no, K-Dust was the country in San Andreas, the country station. I think it was like V Rock, like for Vice City, VC Rock or something like that, whatever it was. Yeah. But yeah, I just put that on and then drive my little, I forget, like the little blue Corvette. I forget what it was called in Vice City, but driving that around and just killing people, man. It's super sick.
That'd be kind of a cool episode idea. Just talk about GTA soundtracks.
Oh, I think GTA soundtracks are crucial to people's love for certain bands and certain like
our generation, for sure.
Like movie placement, like and whatnot is super important too, I guess, for a lot of stuff. Like obviously right now, recently Metallica and Stranger Things, the big deal, right? But like if you can get into a GTA game, I think you're introducing yourself to. Obviously, it's the most successful franchise for anything, but like you're introducing yourself to hundreds of millions of people over and over and over and over and over again listening to the radio stations. So yeah, Def Leppard, I'm sure, definitely benefited from that. And their holdout for Spotify definitely made me, like, when I did get access eventually, just away from the CDs, that's what made me, whatever, get it. But that Vault record, that is out of print now, so if you do find it, I would recommend getting it. They have the best of the story so far, I think it's called, or whatever. Yeah. They have that one as well out there, but for my purposes, I just want Vault because that's what I remembered, and that's gets what you need. But there's that. Super sick.
Yeah. All right. So kind of on that same vein, I'll go with something with my dad did introduce me to. So my dad's kind of a conundrum when it comes to his like musical choices, because my dad did the same arc, got into country, still loves country, just listens to a lot of country now. But my dad was also into prog when he was a kid. So he listened to Rush and Kansas and shit like that. He also loved Van Halen, stuff like that. This is a band that I vividly remember listening in the truck all the time, and this record in particular. This is also a pizza shop record. My mom worked at a pizza shop, and those CDs would be caked in like dust and like pizza grease, because you pick them up with your hand or whatever after, and you put them in the CD player. And this was a pizza shop CD. And that's Queensryche.
Wow.
Empire.
Wow. I didn't want to spoil anything later for you. I thought for sure I knew what you were pulling out. I'm shocked it's Empire. That's awesome.
Oh, that might come later too.
I think that, yeah.
Because there's a lot of those CDs in my life. This is the most recent reissue. There's nothing really special about it. It's just it's just how it came. It's 2 LP, but it's one of the big single sleeves. That's how it came back in the day. I used to have an original, and that was purged. That might be in an episode, maybe like later. Do like vinyl regrets, maybe.
But
yeah, I have this. Queensryche Empire. I listened to this last night during porch walking. I fucking just still love this record.
Hell yeah.
It might be my favorite Queensryche record. It teeters between this and Operation Mindcrime. Obviously, this is less concept record. Those songs do tie into each other. Like I was listening to it last night, and I never noticed this before, but the end of Della Brown has raindrops. You can hear rain falling, and then that leads into Another Rainy Night. That leads into that song. So there is some is some ties and flow between songs, but it's less of like a whole like conceptual story being told like Operation Mindcrime is. So obviously I have it on vinyl. And then I do have the nice CD box set that came out as well. At the same time that vinyl got reissued. And this has 3 CDs. It's got the original album. And then it's got a CD of like B-sides and bonus tracks. And then it's got Live at the Hammersmith Odeon from 1990. And then it's got Building Empires, which is a DVD. And that has all the videos, basically.
Okay, so it doesn't have a live. It doesn't have a live. It's a live CD, not a live DVD.
Live CD, not a DVD.
Okay.
And the band introduces the all the videos, so that's very cool.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
So yeah, it's a cool set. If you're into the band, check it out. It's a nice big book too.
That's awesome.
Real quick. So, got pictures of the band and write-ups, and a lot of this has Jeff in it talking about writing and stuff. There's some cool stories in here about writing the songs, and Silent Lucidity is obviously their biggest song they ever did. That's on this record. One of my favorite songs of all time. Chris DeGarmo wrote that song, so there's kind of a cool interview with Jeff in here talking about trying to sing that song, and like Chris pushing him to go a certain way with it and stuff, and they made one of the biggest songs they've ever written, and so it's kind of a cool story about that. So yeah, I just have vivid memories of listening to that record.
I'm sorry, Chris DeGarmo is not in the band anymore. He's kind of like MIA, right?
No, yeah, he's not in the band. Jeff Wilton is still in the band. He's the other guitar player. And a couple other guys are still in the band, if I remember right, that are from the OG lineup. But yeah, Chris left in like 97. And he was gone. And then he came back for like one record and basically was like kind of a guest on the record. He did a lot of playing on it, but he wasn't like back in the band. Didn't do any tours. No, didn't do tours and then left again. So yeah, I love that record. It's got some great songs on it, top to bottom, just a fun listen. And remember listening to that record all the time in the truck. And we would be going to like my dad's shop in Pennsylvania. He rented shop space there. He'd work on cars. And that record would be in it. It's just truck and CD, or truck and pizza shop CD for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. The Queensryche back-to-back weeks. I'm into that. I'm all about it.
Yeah, it spawned my love for Queensryche. Yeah, so.
I love it. That's awesome. All right, so one for me. My next one is going to be. So I love this movie, and it's a soundtrack for the movie that came out a little while ago. And Ty actually bought this for me. So you remember what this is. So,
yeah.
Dazed Confused, Rextra Day out of 5,000, and it's on 420 green, if you will, or weed green, or whatever they want to call it. But super, super sick out of 5,000. Love this record. And I love Dazed Confused. So back when I was a child, when I was a kid, back when I was a kid, sometimes, things weren't paid all the time, on time, whatever. So like we'd have to dive into, VHS tapes and movies and stuff like that we had. And so one of the VHS tapes, though, I was like, let's call it 8-9 years old or so. One of the VHS tapes I had, or my parents had, was Dazed Confused. And so I didn't know anything about the movie. And so I watched it, and I just became obsessed with it. I still love the movie a lot. I watched it every night. Once I figured out how to download movies in high school, I'd put on a playlist, and it'd be on my computer, and I'd fall asleep to that every night. That and like different like at the Office episodes and stuff like that, whatever. But like it was always Dazed and Confused. But this record just has, or the movie just has such a kick-ass soundtrack, man. Like it's just so perfect. Like it got me into so much. Like it has Rick Derringer, Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, got Slow Ride, Foghat. It's got School's Out, Alice Cooper. Obviously, I loved Cooper. And that syncing with the movie obviously was super, super sick. Jim Dandy, Black Oak, Arkansas, Z-Top doing Tush, Love Hurts, Stranglehold. Stranglehold, still to this day, the best sex song that's ever happened. Promise you. Put on Stranglehold with your significant other. Have a good time. But every song hits. Tuesday's Gone's on here too. Highway Star's on here. Rock and Roll All Night's on here. Paranoid's on here. They have massive, massive, massive bands on this. And so I bought this at Zia. My mom bought me the CD at Zia when I was like, 8, 9, 10 years old, whatever. And I wasn't really into classic rock or whatever at that point, like any more than I was before, right? But then once I got that CD, I just popped it in and I'd be on the computer all night or whatever, listening to that and on repeat or whatever. And just getting into just all the songs, all the bands and everything. And I don't think the CD is this long. It might be this long. I haven't consulted. I still have the CD, by the way, but I haven't consulted it against this track listing. It might be. But it's super sick. I love Dazed and Confused. That soundtrack, perfect. And I'm super upset that we weren't able to get a hold of the even more Dazed and Confused that came out like last year or whatever they did.
Is that gone? Like, is that super expensive now? Because I know
so,
that's
like,
I think that's actually pretty pricey.
I believe so, because I think we looked for it because we saw it once, or at least I did. I saw it once and didn't buy it because they wanted it was new. They wanted $45 for a single LP. Oh, stupid. A single LP. Yeah. So I was just like, nah, I'm not gonna do. I care. I don't care that much, and I don't have an attachment to that. They also had the even more CD that came out back then too. But I don't have an attachment there. I have an attachment to the first soundtrack that came out, and that's the creme de la creme for me. But listening to that all the time and just getting super into that stuff, and then just kind of going deeper into classic rock, and that kind of set me up for later in life and everything else. But the Dazed and Confused soundtrack, definitely something I remember vividly. The movie I remember vividly. Watched it constantly, and music is just top tier.
Yeah, I remember Josh had that CD. One of Josh's favorite movies. I've seen it a ton of times too. And my parents dug that movie too. Like I remember every time it would come on TV, like my mom would have it on.
Hell yeah! I had, if I remember correctly, I had in my first apartment when I was 19. I had the movie poster where we used to shoot our first YouTube videos.
Oh,
way back. I remember that was in the background.
Yeah, don't look those up.
Don't. They're gone. They're not, but like they should be. But that was in the background. And I remember that vividly.
Yeah, Josh had that same poster actually. Yeah.
Nice. Yes, he did. Yes, he had it in the garage.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he had that growing up. That's a Maryland poster.
Ooh, wow, nice. That was a Maryland Mall poster then, right?
Mom was
you had to go
positive.
to Goody or something.
Mom was positive that was in the basement in Maryland.
That's awesome. It was like that and Carmen Electra, right?
Yeah, Carmen Electra, Heidi Klum, all the 90s women. So,
love it.
Really cool, interesting tidbit that I didn't know about that. I was looking through the Criterion release of that and reading some of the stuff about the making of that movie, and Linklater gave everybody like mixtapes for that to like get them in the mood and like set the time period. So that kind of obviously ties in with the soundtrack. So it's a very cool thing that Linklater is super sick, but that's a very cool atmospheric thing that he wanted people to get in the mood for sure. Definitely. All right, my next one, another pizza shop CD. So this might have been the one that Tyler was thinking of. Spawned my love of this man for my entire life. I've listened to this record so many times. It was a cleaning record. It was a drive-in record. Talking about Roy Orbison. Is that what you were thinking of?
So it's not. I'll go with it. Wow. Everything you say applies here. So do you have any other pizza shop records?
Yeah. So they might come up.
So
I got a few more.
Okay, keep going.
This is Mystery Girl. This is his last album that he recorded when he was live. This is his big comeback record too, which is sad because Roy was on the outs. He was down and out. His career is kind of a crazy, its own episode in itself. If you know anything about him, very big, and then signed a big label deal, I think with MGM or something. Yep. And then they wanted him to do movies and shit, and that's not who Roy was. Roy's very shy.
He did one though, didn't he? Do like the Lone Shooter or something? I think it was called.
He had like the fastest guitar in the West.
That one. There you go.
I think that's the name of it. I've never watched it. Be an interesting one to watch. But Roy's not that type of dude. He wore glasses on stage because he was terribly shy. But yeah, the voice influenced so many countless people that worked on this record with him. Again, this is another one I listened to during the week before shooting, and even though I've heard it a million times, still just hits home. This is actually an original pressing. It's a gatefold, but it's still cellophane. Funny story about this: it's got the original Zia sticker over there. And when I bought it, the girl that was checking me out was like, "Oh, was this? I don't know which price sticker." I'm not joking, Tyler. And then she, like, I think one of the managers was there, and like, no, it's the other one. It's the white one. So
if you've never seen the sticker before and it looks 30 years old, don't use it.
Yeah, you can kind of, and it's also $2.99, and I think I paid like $10 for this. So, so yeah, I have an original promo, like big poster too, that we bought out in the hallway. Remember that store, Tyler? What was the name of that store? Shit.
What?
I remember buying that poster there. We bought a bunch of Laserdiscs there too.
Is that where I bought the Nebraska cellophane? Nebraska, possibly.
I don't know. I remember buying that. I don't know if I ever bought any records there. I bought that Roy poster. It's a Mystery Girl promo poster, but it's big. Like it's like a D-side poster or whatever.
It's right near Secondhand Books.
Yes. Or Half Price Books?
No, Secondhand, because I remember that was when we were again, we're way too inside baseball for you guys. Yeah. But that was when Chris Jericho had out one of his books, and he announced a signing, and it was near Changing Hands bookstore, and you were like, "Oh, that's where Jericho's doing the signing at." And that I don't remember the name of the store. It probably doesn't exist anymore or whatever.
No, yeah.
But that was at least 10 years ago, obviously. Definitely not yesterday.
Man, that's going to bug me. But anyway, I got that poster framed up in the hallway. I've got the Rolling Stone tribute issue from after when he passed away. Yep. I've got that framed up in the hallway. One of my favorite artists, singers of all time. This record still just hits so hard, man. I mean, you got Jeff Lynne producing and writing on this with him. You got T-Bone Burnett producing and writing. You've got Bono producing and writing. She's a Mystery to Me. Probably my favorite song on the record, too. That's the Bono song.
Nice.
Careless Heart, too, is one of my favorite songs. Produced by Barbara, his late wife. And
did it come out? It came out after Black and White Nights, right?
Yes. I'm almost positive, yes. Yeah. So he actually, interestingly, like the comeback started after he was in Dreams, was in Blue Velvet, the movie.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's basically when the comeback started.
Okay.
And then I think the Katie Lang cover which is on the record that came after this, of Crying, I think she did. That kind of blew up too, which helped. So yeah, but this was a really big record, and who knows what could have been after that if he wouldn't have passed away. Yeah. Who knows what would have happened. Obviously, he had the Wilburys too, all during kind of this time frame as well.
And you just bought his his last like release, right?
I did, yeah. That's that came out obviously after he passed, but that's the record after this. That was 92, so we're at the 30th anniversary of that. That's King of Hearts. I might show that off in a future episode. Cool record. But yeah, love this record. There's actually a 30th anniversary pressing of this too that came out like 4 years ago. It's got some bonus tracks on there. I may pick that up someday. It's worth a listen on Spotify if you're a fan. So, Mystery Girl, classic classic album, just by a classic artist. That this is the record that spawned my love of Roy. So it had to be in this.
Hell yeah. There you go. I love it. Yeah, I mean, obviously Bruce, massive influence from Roy. So yeah, and also Black and White Nights. If you get the chance, check out that thing. That's a super super cool black and white. I think 86, 87, I think it's.
Yeah, I have it on Blu-ray, and then I would watch it on PBS all the time. They used to play it on PBS.
I think we might have it on Laserdisc too.
I didn't know it had a Laserdisc release.
I think it does. I think I might be lying to you, but I'm pretty sure we bought that at a half price.
I feel like if you had that in the Laserdisc collection, that I would have it. Yeah, and I would have it framed up. So I don't think so.
It's possible. It's definitely possible.
What's your next one?
All right, so my next one. So I'll move on to something a little more contemporary. And this is my first ever CD that I bought. That was like a real band, I guess you could say. Also, the first CD I ever bought where my dad came after he bought it for me at a I forget what the name is. Fred Meyer. They had a little CD store inside there, and I remember he was buying a bunch of CDs, and I was like, "Hey, Dad," and I was 8. I was like 7 or 8, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, can I get a CD?" And he was like, "Yeah, for sure." And this band was all over TRL at the time. The first time I was ever introduced to this band, The Offspring, Americana. So I had no idea they existed prior. I had just recently seen Pretty Fly for a White Guy, and I saw Why Don't You Get a Job. Those are the massive songs at the time, and then later on, The Kids Aren't All Right obviously came out, the single and stuff, whatever, right? But I just saw the CD, and I saw the cover, and I was like, this is a cool cover, and it has the parental advisory sticker on that, so my dad had to, just don't tell your mom kind of thing. And so that was my first ever bad CD, if you will.
Nice.
So I listened to this constantly, because when you don't have many CDs, and this is the first CD that I really had, just literally just on repeat, just over and over and over again. Then later on got the Dazed and Confused, whatever, right? But it was this, and then it was Blink 182, Dude Ranch, and Enema. Those are the next big bad CDs, I guess I could say, adult CDs. So just listen to this constantly. I love this record to death. A lot of people don't like it because it's kind of Why Don't You Get a Job and Pretty Fly are pretty
sure, comedy.
Yeah. So they didn't really like that for a lot of true fans, if you will. But my first exposure to the band, and front to back, top to bottom, I hear every single note, and I just remember it, just imprinted on my brain forever. Kids Aren't All Right, Americana the song, Pay the Man is super sick, No Breaks, End of the Line, Wah Wah, everything. Staring at the Sun, just everything, super sick. Also, I didn't know that, because they have the Unterglieben Glaben, they have that in there too. Didn't know that was a Def Lep thing. Or maybe not just a Def Lep thing, but I know it's on the Def Lep. It's on yeah. So I do remember that, but I didn't know that it was from there necessarily. So
gotcha.
Also
just
on here.
Put 2 and 2 together.
Correct. So this is the 20th anniversary on Red, I think it was. That came out in 2018. Yes, and these are long gone by now, but they just repressed, because they actually were the first band, to my mind, sell their catalog from the punk genre, if you will. So they sold their catalog, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, 4 years ago maybe, and they sold it for $40 million. And so they're going to want, obviously, to make their money back, so they put all of these back in print. And I'm pretty sure basically everything is out there. It might not be super, super common, but I think I see Americana pretty often at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Smash might be one you don't see a ton anymore, but an Ixnay, but you can't get it.
I think Smash is still Smash is the Epitaph record, isn't it? That's the big Epitaph record. Because
you're right, yeah.
But then again, I think Columbia might have bought that from Epitaph.
Okay.
If I'm remembering some stories correctly. But that's a diamond record, by the way. Just insane. And then I'm sure
a great fucking record.
Yeah, and I think this one probably sold at least 5 million copies or something. because they had just massive. There's 3 massive singles on it, so definitely one of the bigger influential records for me, especially at 7 or 8 years old, for sure.
Yeah, me too, for sure. That was Americana was a good. It was an old sleepover record.
Nice.
I'd go over to my old friend Dalton's place across the street, and I would borrow Josh's CDs, and that one, and like Ozman Cometh, a couple other ones, but Americana was always in there too in the rotation. And Welcome to Americana. Like that's just stuck in the brain. Probably not my favorite Offspring record. I would maybe Smash or Ixnay would get it, but
you are a big Ixnay fan.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, I grew up around those records too because of my brothers. But Americana, definitely a good choice for sure.
Love it.
One that goes over for me as well. All right, let's do. I got a couple honorables. I'll leave those at the end. Let's do this one. Kind of another introduction to heavy music, and that's Metallica and Justice for All.
Love it.
I remember just this cassette. And throughout my life, all of my uncles, except one, lived with us. And then also my aunt lived with us for a little bit. So, like, I was exposed to music through them. And I was exposed to music through my 2 older brothers. And my uncles were obviously massive Metallica fans, as you do when you're that age in the 80s and 90s. And I just remember looking at this cassette all the time because obviously this cover kind of grabs you. That artwork's very interesting. You kind of don't know what's going on as like a 5, 6, 7-year-old. This is the blackened repress. It's basically done just how it was back in the day. So I mean, this is kind of my introduction to heavy music. That and Back in Black, kind of my introduction to heavier music. So it started here. Definitely not my favorite Metallica record. And I listened to it again. It's a little long in the tooth. And I was like, I don't know.
It safely breaks your 35, 45 minute, it easily breaks that.
Yeah. But I was just like, I don't know, man. Like, I would like to do a Metallica ranking. And I don't know where this would rank. But
that's my favorite Metallica record, though. That is my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, don't spoil the ranking, but
I'm sorry. Yeah.
But
it could not be.
Yeah, this is one that introduced me to heavy music, so I figure I had to have it in there. And honestly, more so just based on the album cover alone.
Oh yeah,
because I just remember looking at that cassette all the time, and be like, "What?"
You're 7 years old.
Yeah.
So you're like, you see the color, and you're like, okay. When you see the sketch, and you're like, what is this? And it looks like a cartoonish maybe kind of thing. You're like, what is this? And then you obviously pick it up and you kind of see what's going on. I'm surprised it wasn't a double cassetter. Looking back on it, because that's where they did the double LP.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I don't think it was.
We've never seen it, at least.
Yeah. From what I remember. And just still a classic record, though. I mean, you got Blackened, obviously, one. Harvester of Sorrow is a cool song.
I just think that's... I don't know why... I mean, I've told you this 1,000 million times in our lives, but I just don't know why there wasn't more... Especially in ECW, I don't know why there wasn't more professional wrestling entrance themes based on any of those songs, because they all kick ass as wrestling themes.
Maybe just they're all too long. I don't know.
That's fair. You just cut them and you Harvester, get that going, and like it's just awesome. I just see like Raven coming onto Harvester, like just some sick, like just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But that's definitely a wrestling theme record for me when I just think about that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just a classic fucking record, and a record that introduced me to heavy music, so I figure I had to be in here. And probably, honestly, it might not even be my first introduction to hearing Metallica. It's probably Black Album or Load or Reload. Because I remember when Load and Reload came out.
Okay.
Like, I remember being 5 years old, and I remember Josh buying those CDs.
Yeah.
For sure. So that might be my first introduction to Metallica, but that's my first visual, so that sticks with me.
So I told you the story before. I don't like, because I had a sister. I had an older sister. She was 3 years older than I was, so like she didn't listen obviously Metallica or anything like that. My introduction to Metallica was also the Load Reload era, And so I was like 5 or 6, and I don't know why this memory sticks to me so fucking heavily. But my sister, we were on the roof, and I want to say like it was, I don't know why. Like I would like to believe we were on the roof because like Christmas lights were going up or something or other. And I was 96, 97, so I was 6, 7 years old, whatever, and 5, 6, 7 years old. And so I want to say that we were on the roof, and my neighbor drove by in his truck, and my sister was talking about my neighbor, and for some reason, I don't know how or why or anything, my sister goes, because her friend was up there with us as well for some reason, and she was talking about my neighbor, and her friend was like, who? And then my sister says, the guy that was listening to the Metallica in his truck. And I literally have not a goddamn clue why my sister at 10 years old or whatever, 9 years old, why or how she knew who Metallica was or knew a Metallica song and linked it to the name. Not a goddamn clue. But that is absolutely the first time I ever heard the name Metallica. And I was on the roof of my childhood home, was creeping on neighbors or something. I don't know, but yeah, that was gnarly. But I'm sure he's playing. I'm sure he's listening to the radio and he's listening to like Blackout or something, whatever. Like I'm positive of that. But yeah, just insane. But yeah, Justice, love Justice, and definitely worthy of a pick for you for sure.
For sure.
So now we're going for the last one on my list. I have a bunch of honorables, but this is my last like significant one.
Gotcha.
So growing up, I was 11 when this came out. So I had heard of this band, but I never had to experience this band in any way, shape, or form because they were long since broken up for the very obvious reason we're about to see. So this record came out in 2002, I believe it was, the CD, and it was a greatest hits. And so I knew the band existed, but I had no real context as to what the songs were or whatever. I'm sure I heard a few things here and there, but whatever. So when my dad asked me what I wanted for Christmas, I said I wanted like CDs and stuff, and he was like, well, I need to know what that means. Like I need to know what CDs, right? So I got this, and I wrote it down because I knew it was cool, and I saw the video for the new song that came out, and it was a massive, massive, massive deal, and he got it for me. This is Nirvana's Greatest Hits from 2002. This is the 2LP 45 RPM master on this, so it's higher quality or whatever, right? But very glossy, has the high gloss for the Nirvana logo as well. Super sick. But I spun this constantly. It was not out of my CD player for a year. Like it was insane. Like so much so that if you were to ask me at age like 13, like just 7th grade, who my favorite band was, I would have said Nirvana. I would have definitely said Nirvana. And it was powered by the greatest hits 100%. Because at that point, I didn't have Nevermind, I didn't have In Utero. I definitely didn't have Bleach or Incesticide or anything like that. And I didn't have any of the live records. Like, I just had the greatest hits, but I just fucking just burned that into my brain over and over and over again. Just phenomenal. Also, the video for You Know You're Right came out right then, and that's what launched the greatest hits, and so that video was super sick. And I remember I told my dad that I wanted this CD, and he was like, "You like Nirvana?" And I was like, "Yeah." I have not a clue. I just know that one song, the new song. I know that in the video, and I know they're a big deal because I remember the seeing commercials and stuff for it. And I was like, "Well, I got to get on this happening of Nirvana, the latest killer band." And I knew the story of Kurt Cobain. Also told Ty this before. It took me years to remember this, but I remember when he killed himself. I remember watching the news at my grandparents' house, and it was on, and like the overhead aerial shot from the helicopter, and seeing like the overhead shot of the guest house and stuff or whatever. And I didn't link those together in my brain, but I just remember that night for some reason, and that memory got unlocked. And then one night, watching the old, probably me and you together, watching the old news clips and stuff like that, or news reports, that all linked together in my brain, and just it all came back into play. It was a crazy happening. But still love Nirvana, love all the records, big In Utero fan, love In Utero, and this greatest hits, like it definitely, I mean, it's super cool, but it definitely is like there wouldn't be much else that I'd want on here. Like, You could put Breed on here. I love Breed. Like, you could put a few other tracks on here, maybe.
Breed's not on that?
No.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a few songs on here that you could add onto it for sure. But for the things that your sister wants to listen to, like, this is it. It has everything on it. And also launched I didn't launch it necessarily, but it led into one of my honorable mentions, an obsession that I have still to this day, but it led into that later on. But Nirvana, greatest hits, love it.
I don't think I ever owned that in any form. I do remember when it was coming out because I remember seeing the commercials for it. But I don't even think Josh ever owned it because he had all the albums. He had all the CDs.
Josh got the big box later, right? The with lights out box, right?
He had that, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he ever owned that particular greatest hits. And I don't think I ever owned it in any form either, just because I was exposed to all those songs through the albums through him. And but yeah, I do remember it coming out. I do remember that single for it that came out, that unreleased track. And that's a Courtney Love thing, right? Didn't she have a big in it?
So basically, she so they were going to put out the with lights out box, right? They're going to put that out, and she wanted to put out a standalone greatest hits. And Dave and Chris were like, let's just do the box. Let's put it on there. And she said that song is too good to be lost on a box that no one's going to fucking listen to. So let's put out a greatest hits. And Dave and Chris were against that, and then she won out. And then I don't know if they picked the track listing. They probably had something to do with it. But the big deal was that, You're Right was finally getting a proper release. And that was what she was fighting for, because she thought that it would sell more on a greatest hits than it would being lost in a box. And she was right, because I think that greatest hits sold like 12 million copies or something in that box set. Still sold a bunch too. I wish I never bought that box ever, but I still need to get it eventually at some point. But it sold, that greatest hits sold a fucking trillion copies. So yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, another seminal band. Giving a lot of heavy hitters tonight.
All the heavy hitters.
All right, so I got my last pick, and then I got a couple honorables to go over. Another kind of pizza shop album, just something that's always been a constant in my life. One of the bands that stuck with me the most from my mom, particularly listening to them. One of my all-time favorite bands. They'll make the top 10 whenever we do that episode. Top 10 favorite bands. That's Journey. The greatest hits. This is the re-release. It's got When You Love a Woman on it. This is probably, sounds weird because it's the greatest hits, but this is probably the record I've listened to the most in my life. This is one of those constant, like Tyler said, you don't own that many CDs, so you just constantly just repeat the tracks. I know these tracks front to back and know all the lyrics still. I can still sing every song. This is the one I confiscated from my mom's collection and was just constantly playing. And this is a really cool set. 2 LP gatefold. All the songs sound great on here.
Steve Perry remaster on that. Had the hand in doing so.
Yeah, I don't know how much he really does with them, but I know he it's mastered for vinyl. It's got a couple guys, and Steve Perry is credited for mastered for vinyl. So I don't know really how much Steve's doing with it, but just a classic album, man. And I know this is over Diamond now. I want to say it's like 20 million or some shit.
It has to be. Has to be. Could pave the streets with them for sure at a certain point. Did you have, in the first collection, did you have the single LP original or no?
I did, yeah. I did. But in this new one, I was like, I'll just buy that. Because it's got the extra track on there, too. So
Because back in the day, you had both. I remember, I thought you had the single LP, and then I remember you had the re-release, and then you had the Greatest of 2. Do you have that, too, again?
I actually never had that, but I have it now.
Okay. Oh, I thought you had it back then. Okay.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, that's a record that just been a constant in my life forever, and then obviously that's spawned into listening to the albums and getting into deeper cuts and stuff like that, and like growing a bigger appreciation for the band. But that's where it started, so I had to put it in here. Was that the one you were thinking of?
So the one I was thinking of was Kansas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking about putting it in. It didn't make the honorables, but that Kansas Greatest Hits, yeah, I do own it. Yeah. Obviously, that's a big record in my life. So yeah, that's a good choice.
That's right. That was when we started thinking about what you were going to pick, and like Pizza Shop Records. That's when I was like, pretty sure Kansas would be in there, and yeah, I remember now you're seeing it. I remember the Queensryche stuff, but I definitely thought immediately Kansas. I was like, oh, he's gonna have the Kansas, because that's the record also you guys drove out here to in the truck. So I thought that would be kind of where you're at with it.
Yeah, we did. Well, I don't think the Greatest Hits was on it, but we did. My dad had the Kansas with the London Symphony Orchestra.
There you go.
And that was a record that he played a lot in the truck. But I have a vivid memory of the Greatest Hits too, because it's got the guy with the beard on it, and you're like, "What the fuck what the hell is this?" But yeah, I love that. I love that record too. That's a very nostalgic childhood record for sure for me. So
for sure.
What honorables do you have, or did you want to riff on Journey?
No, riff on Journey. I mean, obviously, what can be said about Journey? That Greatest Hits has basically everything that you'd want for the proper mainstream, kind of songs. And I mean, Journey has the biggest song ever sold in the world. So Don't Stop Believin', I think, is the top single selling song ever digitally. So still, I think believe.
It still is.
Yeah, Sopranos, shout out.
Did help it. I remember.
Definitely did help it. Yeah. But yeah, Journey's a shit. I'm real stoked that we saw them, like 10 years ago now, but I'm real stoked we saw them. And,
that was a long time ago.
I definitely, we all go through our Journey phases and we get into the songs, whatever. And I think when we both worked at a certain credit card company, I would listen to Faithfully and Open Arms every day, every single day. I'd watch the videos and listen to those songs at least 3 times a day, probably. And Faithfully, like that, just watching that video and watching him look at the picture of his wife and stuff, whatever. I think, is it Neil or Jonathan maybe? And then show Steve shaving.
I think it's Neil playing the guitar and looking in the mirror, and the picture of his girlfriend or wife is in the. For
some reason, that was a part of my routine though, just to get through the day, because I had to listen to Journey.
You do what you do. You gotta do what you gotta do. So
100%.
Yeah.
All right. So for honorables, I have a few here. So, something that I remember buying. What year is this? 2004. So I was 13. So another band that I just knew ancillarily, like just from osmosis, from the life, living in the world. Guns N' Roses. So my first ever Guns N' Roses experience was the Greatest Hits. So I'm 13 years old. And I remember buying this at Zia. I love Guns N' Roses now, obviously, as I talked about in the first episode. But buying at Zia, and I knew the songs still or whatever, but I wanted to get deeper and deeper into the Guns N' Roses, even if it's just the hits. And so they put this out against, obviously, the better wishes of the band, because Axl never fucking delivered Chinese Democracy. So they put this out to make money back, and absolutely massive. But I remember buying this at Zia. My mom buying this at Zia for me when I was 13, and coming back, literally on the drive back home with, I think my mom and my sister, and I was like, I knew this already existed, so like I wasn't really shocked when I saw it, but like I was like, Mom, we gotta go back, and she was like, what? I was like, and I handed her, I was like, the CD's messed up, Mom, we gotta go back. And she was like, I told you that would happen, and what, I forget, maybe it was used, I have no idea, I don't remember, but she got pissed, and she almost turned the car around, and I was like, I'm just kidding, I know, I'm just kidding, it's for the CD, it's fine, I'm just kidding, whatever. And she was like, don't do that, and she got all kinds of mad. But yeah, so Guns N' Roses Greatest Hits, still love Guns N' Roses. I don't have the greatest on vinyl. I need to buy it. It's out there, but I just don't have it. But yeah, and then Greetings from Asbury Park, Bruce Springsteen. I love Bruce. This is my dad's favorite Bruce Springsteen record. Mary, Queen of Arkansas is his favorite Bruce song, or was, he's dead. But it was his favorite Bruce song. And so I just remember this in the truck, and the center console, and the fold-up, in the Dakota. Remember this in the truck a lot. And so you listen to this all the time. This is probably the most listened to record that him and I together listened to, because he just loved this record, which is really interesting because Bruce has a lot better records, to me at least. So this is one of the things me and him would disagree on Green's Raspberry Park. Then David Bowie Changes. My mom got this CD from my uncle, and I didn't know anything about David Bowie. I just knew that Nirvana covered Man Who Sold the World. So I remember looking at the booklet, and it said David Bowie on there. I remember saying that to my mom, like, oh, they played a David Bowie song. And my mom was like, what? And then I showed her, and she listened to it, and she was like, that's cool, I guess, or whatever. So I wanted to listen to the original. And so I actually don't know. It should be on here, right? Not on here. Lied to you. So not on here. But this is 91, I think, or 90. It came out. And there's a 2 LP on the Sound and Vision releases that came out. And super, super sick. The CD is super cool. Just, had a big greatest hits. And then also has the Fame 90 remix on it, which, to my mind right now, I don't know what the difference is, but I'm sure there's something. But just a stack greatest hits, and it got me into Bowie, and I love Bowie to death. And I have 2 cats, both named after Bowie. I have Bowie and I have Ziggy, so love Bowie to death. And this was definitely a great introduction to Bowie. So Bowie Changes. And then last 2, just real quick, Nevermind, Nirvana. So this is I didn't know what I was looking at. My sister told me this later, but I have a vague memory of it, that our babysitter down the street, her husband bought vinyl and had this record set up on the turntable for like every time we went over there, and it was just the record sitting there. And so I remember my sister would have us walk over there, and she would like just make like jokes like, "Oh, there's a baby's penis." Oh, she didn't say penis, whatever she said, and she would just make a point to like point this out. And I didn't remember that story until she told me later, and I was like, "Oh shit, that definitely happened." So Nirvana, Nevermind. I never heard the songs or anything like that until way later, but so I saw it before I ever noticed or knew it. And then last, Dwight Yoakam. Guitars and Cadillacs, etc., etc. Love this record. This is the 30th anniversary. That's also the 20th anniversary 4 LP edition. This is the 30th 3 LP. Wow, 3 LP edition. But Mom's massive Dwight Yoakam fan. I also love Dwight. Ty loves Dwight. We all love Dwight. And so I picked this up a few years ago when it came out. Love that record. Honk Honk Man, obviously, big song. Guitars and Cadillacs, big song. Is a Ring of Fire cover on here. I'll Be Gone, also a super, super sick song. I love I'll Be Gone. And then it has the 81 demos for this record, too, which is super cool. And then it has Live at the Roxy from 86 on here as well. So love Dwight, love this set. And we still see it the first pressing of it from time to time. And would recommend getting into it if you ever want to. But, yeah.
Those are your honorables? Those
are all my honorables.
Gotcha. Yeah, that Dwight, all the Dwight stuff too got expensive, sorta. And then, the Guns N' Roses. I remember seeing commercials for that too.
Yep.
Like when that was getting promoted. Nevermind, obviously a classic record. Pretty much, honestly, everybody's life if you grew up in the '90s, even if you weren't like happening in the '90s, you'd still should remember that.
For sure. I think MTV did like half-hour specials-ish kind of things for both the greatest hits for Nirvana and for Guns N' Roses, because I remember seeing a lot of the old videos and stuff on the special, and so like that was kind of like my final introduction to the band before I actually got those CDs. So like That's how I got most of my information, because like I definitely didn't fucking know about most of the Nirvana stuff at that point in time. And then I definitely didn't really know about much of the Guns N' Roses stuff as a cat. I definitely didn't know about most of the Guns N' Roses stuff until way later, too. But, I wish they would have put some other songs on here. But, take what we can get. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'll run through a couple of mine, then we'll wrap this thing
Love
up.
We're going to come in way shorter than we did last week, so that's cool.
Yeah, maybe a half hour shorter, so that's nice. Maybe. We're working it. We're moving. It'll be like an hour and a half, and then an hour, and then a half hour, and then
there we go. We just 10 minutes.
Yeah, Speedwagon, greatest hits. Another one I grew up on, similar to Journey. Just love them a little bit less, and they're a band where I'm good with just the hits.
Very good.
This is a classic CD growing up. Constantly would spin this one. This is a repress that came out not too long ago. I do like it though. It's got the classic epic labels on there.
Hell yeah.
That's very cool. And then 12,
you had the original too.
12 Greatest Hits. Yeah. This is like 89 too, so it's kind of hard to come by. So yeah, I love that hype sticker on there. Very cool.
Awesome. It's a cool record, or it's a cool record, but it's a cool cover too.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being a dumb kid and being like, "What does this mean?"
Ty, you're the one that told me about that, and I was 22 years old. So
what are they doing? Yeah, but I didn't know until like I was like 16. So I didn't figure it out.
You beat me by years, brother. You beat me by years, so you're all right. You're doing better than I am, brother.
I just remember being a 10-year-old and be like, "Oh, it's a bunch of letters."
Yeah. Also, for the record, you didn't know it either, but I didn't know it till way later in my life, right? But I remember because when we found it, you found it at Tempe, old Tempe Zia. That's where you bought it at the first time, the original pressing. And I remember I said that to you. I was like, I don't know what it is, and you were like, "It's Hits." Oh, and you're like, yeah, and you fucking big time me on it. You're like, yeah, idiot, it's fucking Hits. Your ass didn't know till you're fucking 16. You fuck you didn't, asshole.
Wow.
Fucking, wow. I'm not kayfabing here, asshole. You fucking did that. Made me feel like garbage.
All right.
Went home and cried that night.
All right, let's get another greatest hits in here. It's just a weird. I just have a lot of greatest hits. I don't know. I guess
that's what you do when you're a little kid. That's what that's what our parents did.
Oh yeah,
our parents did that shit, and that's whatever. So that's what we did.
Yeah. So Dire Straits, Money for Nothing. It's actually kind of a recentest purchase, like within the last 6 months. This is the UK pressing of this.
It's awesome.
Again, I didn't know what this was when I was a kid, and then I saw the video and I realized it's his headband. It's Mark's headband.
Yeah.
I thought it was like some weirdo glasses or something when I was a little kid. Like, what is he wearing?
Could be.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool UK pressing though. Got the hype sticker on there. Has all the tracks you want. I do love all the deep cuts too. This introduced me to the band though, and much like the Roy, like Mystery Girl and the Journey, like this spawned my love of the band. And I remember just air drumming to Money for Nothing all the time, and just classic songs on here. Private Investigation's probably one of my favorites Dire Straits songs on here. So yeah.
Dire Straits has a lot of cool tracks. Because you bought that. That's from Angry, right?
Yeah.
How much was it? Like a $45 bill?
It's still on the 35.
35.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking minty too. So that's a good deal there. Also being import is super cool.
I think they just repressed it too.
Okay.
Like recently. Yeah.
Yeah. They did all the records, I think, right? Because I think we've seen everything since then too.
Yeah. A lot of stuff. Is repressed. I want to say all of it, honestly.
Yeah.
Even like the last record that came out like 95 or whatever is repressed. So.
Yeah. I don't know all the records, but I want to say that every time we go to, especially Angry, when we go there, there's usually a pretty healthy amount of the represses for the records.
Yeah. I've got one more honorable. Do not own it.
Okay.
It doesn't have I doubt it has a vinyl pressing. And I wasn't gonna buy it on CD, but I'll pop it up here.
Let's do it.
Add it to stream. Van Halen.
Yep.
Yeah, the Greatest Hits Volume 1. They never did a Volume 2. They did Best of Both Worlds. That came out later. But that right there just burned into my memory, introduced me to the band. That's how I fell in love with Van Halen. And obviously went backwards. But this kind of introduced me, and I fell in love with Van Hagar at that point too. Like, I always loved the Sammy songs too. So obviously I understand being a Van Halen fan and a fan of David Lee Roth when Sammy Hagar joins the band, and then the first thing you hear is Dreams, being like, what the fuck is this? But it's drastically different. Even though it's got the keys too, like it's kind of... it's obviously a more serious song than Jump, but it's kind of 1984-ish.
Yeah.
So it's not a drastic, but I understand like being shocked. So,
but the thing about that, because so first of all, I was also considering this initially when I told you about the idea a week ago or whatever. I also thought about this immediately. I forgot about it since then, but I don't actually own this either. But on your Van Hagar point though, for 5150, that was the first record. So the first song is Good Enough. Good Enough is heavy as shit.
Yeah. There's some heavy stuff on there.
Is it Good Enough or is it What the fuck is the first? I think it's Good Enough.
I can find. I'll Google it. But I can pull it out. But I don't want to go back there.
Good Enough. Yeah, Good Enough's the first song. Good Enough is a heavy song. So like those people that were originally like kind of like. Mm-hmm. Apprehensive, obviously. The first kickoff for that record is fucking heavy as shit. And then, obviously, Sammy's vocals were always a mile and a half ahead of whatever Dave could even think about or consider doing vocally. So, that's definitely, it's you and I mean, I've come on later. I came later in life being more of a Sammy appreciator. You were there before I was. But, as you've pointed out many times. Mm-hmm. But that was my introduction to Van Halen, too. That we had that greatest hits, and then I think Dad eventually bought it Zia, like a Zia tribute, bought Van Halen 1, and then he had 1984. He had the records. So then when I started pulling out the vinyl way back when I was like 10 or whatever it was, 1984, I knew Jump. So when I looked at that and it had Jump on there, I pulled it out and then I listened to that, and that's when I kind of started listening to 1984 or whatever. But yeah, I didn't know anything else really, but that was definitely my introduction too. I remember that too very vividly.
Oh yeah, I remember that CD constantly, and at that logo, that gold logo, just a cool album cover. Very simple, but just gets
to me. I think it's cooler. I mean, obviously, Best of Both Worlds has more tracks on it. It has more stuff on it because it's double disc.
Sure,
but I like that cover more than I like Best of Both Worlds. Because it's just, those scraps or whatever.
I didn't like Best of Both Worlds that much because they mixed it up.
Yeah,
like they didn't do Dave
do what
and
you
Sammy
fucking wanted to do.
Yeah, just do a CD of Sammy and then a CD of Dave. Like, it's not that hard.
So we've talked about this before. My theory on that is they didn't want like one to be a thing. Like they didn't want like, well, you just want disc 2 or you just want disc 1. Like that's what they 100%. Wanted to avoid, I imagine. So like. Yeah, so that's kind of where I think that was their reasoning for doing so. But your fucking mind, you're going bounce, 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 and you just keep going back and forth. Your mind goes, what the fuck are we doing, man? Like, this is fucking stupid. Just let me fucking listen to fucking 5150 on, and let me listen to fucking Van Halen 1 to 84. Just let me listen to that shit. Jesus Christ.
See, that greatest hits, that Volume 1 does kind of do it right, because they have all the Dave, then they go to the Sammy, and then at the end they have the new Dave songs that are awful.
Also, Human Beings on there too.
Humans Being is an amazing fucking song.
Yeah.
So
fucking Twister.
You'll
fucking
come
song
around.
Sucks.
You'll come
song
around
fucking
to that
sucks,
song.
Ty.
You'll come around to it later.
I won't. I love Hagar now, Ty. Yeah. I don't love Humans Beings because it's fucking stupid and he starts screaming in a weird fucking voice. I don't like it. Fuck
Song's sick, dude. Song is sick.
No, not at all.
But anyways, guys, that is it. That's childhood, like, nostalgic records, unless Tyler has any more weirdo. All right.
That's I mean we can wax on and match our time period, our Lord of the Rings length for Van Halen, but
we gotta self edit, get better. We'll shoot for an hour and a half next episode. But if you guys made it this far, we are gonna try to do this every episode where we pick the topic, and that's kind of the cliffhanger, and then we have a week to prepare for the next topic. Also, episodes are dropping every Monday, so be on the lookout for that. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave comments down below. What are records that you grew up listening to that you still love today, or records that introduced you to a band, that type of stuff. I was going back and forth about what I was gonna pick, and I'm like, do I want to throw like a heavy one that you really got to research, or do I want to just kind of do an easy one for both of us?
We're already in the dumpster, brother. So whichever way you want to go.
I was gonna go like a hard one, but I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna throw like a mulligan right now at it. I guess like, not a mulligan because I didn't choose, but you know what I mean. But your Bowie thing kind of inspired me here. The Man Who Sold the World. I'm gonna go favorite cover songs.
Oh wow! Okay.
For next episode. So, favorite cover songs. So think about that. If you own the record, all the better. If not, no worries. We can pull it up on a slideshow. So, but just think about that. That'll be next episode, guys. Anything else you want to add, Tyler, before we end?
No, I appreciate you watching this. I mean, we're still building our audience, so we want to see those view numbers jump up there and our subscriber numbers jump up there. And we got some friends and family watching along. We're going to keep plugging along here, so you might as well just jump on the bandwagon now. And when we start taking over YouTube, you can say you were here first. I'm just saying.
Exactly. So that perfect ending there. And anyways, guys, we will see you next time on the Living Deadwax podcast. Peace.
There you go.